And here is this new find that I found at a thrift store. That was sense. I can guarantee that I'm going to try and cover up the bow. Not that it doesn't work with this necessarily, it's probably not going to go with the vibe that I want to do. But see, we got the little I don't drink tea, but yeah. Oh, Bunny's a little... I guess it's not that bad. Especially given for, like, the medium and all that. The door is right by the handle, and I don't know how I feel about that. Like, you would expect it to be centered, but in some weird way, it feels like it kind of works with, like, the handle being right there. I just don't know about these random eggs here. But, I mean, I'm not going to keep it a bunny Easter egg type theme. I think with what I'm probably going to be doing, I can cover that up. But, yeah, not too bad for $1.50 at a thrift store. It came with a little, like, one of those little mini candles. What are they, tea light candles? I don't know. But it came with that, but, you know, I don't exactly plan on burning things in here, so we're just going to get started with the gesso. And quite the project this turned out to be. And gessoing was probably the easiest part of it. Even though it was a little awkward to gesso, but, I mean, it's a unique shape. I think when I looked online, because, like, sometimes when I find weird things like this, I'll do, like, a quick Google search just to see if this is something that I shouldn't be painting on. But I only found, like, someone have this for sale for, like, $8 somewhere. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this is probably worth painting on. So that's what I did. And, yeah, I decided to do a lot of decorating. Which is why this was quite the project. And so then I was like, hey, I can be smart and take this apart, and I painted both sides, let it dry, put it all together. Putting it together was a lot harder than you would think, though. Maybe it was just me, but, like, or my lack of coordination, or I'm not sure. But I actually found it kind of hard to put together, at least the bottom part. And I think I ended up using some glue to make it all stay. I don't know if the paint, like, thickened it up or what happened, but it just didn't feel like it fit as well after. But, yeah. So I didn't have, like, a strong sense of color going into this. I was just kind of going with, you know, I think I'm feeling this color. We're going to use this with that color. And that's pretty much what I did throughout the whole thing. And there's definitely times I was questioning myself. Definitely. Just from all my uncertainty. But all I can say is I do really like the idea of the end results. I mean, it's me, so there's obviously, like, things here or there that could have been better, or could have looked this, or could have done that, but I do really like my little house. Also, yeah, I repainted this thing like 4,000 times, although that is still a really pretty purple. But at this point, I couldn't decide if I wanted to keep it like that deep pink, like how I did the leaf on that flower, or if I wanted to keep it a little more natural and go green. So that was just kind of me deciding, and then this was me playing with colors more, and I ended up mixing the purple and the pink together on the thing itself, which I went from, ooh, this is a pretty color, to, ooh, I hate fuchsias, to, and now I'm looking at it again, I'm like, ooh, pretty color. So clearly I can't make up my mind here. Spoiler alert, though, I repainted that again, though. So this is not even the final color. Yeah. And then I had the idea of, hey, you know, maybe to cover up the holes, it would look kind of cool if I did like a flower petal roof. Spoiler alert, I also changed that idea too. So while I was busy contemplating my my project choices, excuse me, I moved on to doing some other easier steps. And I just painted on the flowers. I'm like, hey, What colors would make good flowers? Yellow, pink, purple? I think I ended up using a light. I think I want to say I might have tried to use Pearl Ash in there, which is like an almost white pink. But anyway, yeah, no, there we go, rambling again. I'm always rambling. What am I talking about? And I decided that the green just wasn't looking right without like some definition in there, so I actually went and I shaded in parts of the green in the flowers. There's more than one. And I do think that helped a lot. It was just looking way too flat otherwise, and it was going to drive me absolutely insane. Because that's what I do, is I just kind of drive myself insane. Well, yep. And then I end up just doing the thing so I don't drive myself insane. But then I usually drive myself insane while I'm doing the thing, so like it's kind of a lose-lose for me. But in this case it ended up a lose-lose, but it ended win-win, so you know. I don't think I did my shadows dark enough on that like purpley flower. That one doesn't feel like it stands out, but then I never went back and fixed it. And this is my Velvet Crush making the polka dots. I like this purple. It's a nice purple. And I absolutely love my polka dots. Should I have done more? Probably. Would I have overdone it then? Oh, definitely. There is no doubt in my mind I would have overdone it. It just doesn't feel like there's enough. So I guess that's another conundrum there that I'm having with this project. And originally I did want to cover Miss Bunny, but at this point I'm like, I don't know how to do that yet. So I once again was working on the easier parts and just kind of doing a quick thing with the door, avoiding the topic. And here I am trying to glue my flower back on. And some more glue there, and a little glue everywhere. Okay, spoiler alert, I changed some things here, and I actually forgot to use those viney things in the end, and part of me thinks that I totally should have. But, yeah, you guys can be the judge of it and tell me if you think that was a good thing that I forgot to add them in or not. And, of course, I couldn't just stop at painting flowers that I was not enjoying painting because it was just kind of a pain in the butt. These steps I just wanted done, so I just kind of had to power through. Also, trying to trace off my phone is hard enough without also recording and blinding myself with how bright the light needs to be. I don't do bright lights very well. Also, those roses were like a foam and not a paper or a cloth. It was a foam. So imagine painting on foam. It's about as fun as it sounds. So I would not recommend unless you absolutely have to. Or, find a way to make it a little less painful. I don't know if adding like some gesso on that would have helped, but it just kind of like, it gets, I don't want to say bubbles because they're not really bubbles, but it does get holy in the paint, so then you have to keep like adding layer and layer and layer. But I guess at the end of the day, it could have been worse, but it's definitely not the ideal painting surface. But anyway, those little flowers I didn't even bother painting over. I was playing around with the mushrooms because I was like, hey, mushrooms. I kind of liked it on top, but I didn't know if I'd like it long term to actually do it, so I didn't. But yeah. And we also added some fake moss on the teapot. Get it right. Come on. We can do it. And essentially, my whole idea with this was like, I saw it and I was like, fairy house. And I debated waiting to see if I could get it a little cheaper because I wasn't quite sure on it. But it was nagging at me to get this thing. So I ended up picking it up at the thrift store for like, I don't know, $1.50. Also, these are probably the tiniest things I've ever drawn. I actually drew them bigger. And the reason I was tracing them on my phone was because that was the only way I knew to really shrink these down in order to get them a smaller size. And at the end, they could have been a little bit bigger and they would have stuck out more. And I think that's maybe my biggest regret, or not regret, issue with how it turned out overall. But even then, it's fine and it still works. I have a feeling I totally threw myself off topic. Yeah, I also decided to leave Miss Bunny uncovered, so she's just a pink blob on the back. But that's okay, we love Miss Bunny anyway. Oh yeah, the story was someone, for some reason, left this teapot or dropped this teapot in the woods, and these two little fairy brothers, they come along, and they're like, oh, this looks like a nice place to live. I think we can live here. And they made it their home. Yay! And over time, being in the forest, like, the moss would start growing. Realistically, there'd be, like, probably a little more dirt smudges or some green smothered in from, like, being outside and weather worn and all that. I didn't really know how to get that across, and I didn't really want to take the time and frustration in order to do it. But looky, it's done! Does anyone else love it as much as me, or am I alone in that? I'm okay if I'm alone in that. I love this thing. I am obsessed with it. But you can always let me know what you love or don't love about it down in the comments below. I love hearing what people think. I love hearing people's ideas. Let me know what you would have done with this thing. I also have a Discord in my description if you want to pop in there and tell me there instead of here in the comments. Until next time, though, peace out.